Hi, everybody. This is Carrie at wooingnature.life. I am wishing you a happy new year. I hope the new year rings in for you great and fantastic and bringing you all the things that you are wishing and hoping for. So, I'm going to do what I'm calling a reading sampler for January because we are bringing in the new year and there's certain areas and focuses that we probably want to delve into. We'll probably be taking some information from various resources and just really kind of taking our time with the reading today. So expect a long reading today. Um, and again, dealing with the month of January and what January is bringing in. I've done a little research about the astrology of January, and I didn't go through the whole entire year because things change very rapidly. And even though we can make a prediction about what's going to happen based on what the planets are doing, we can never really know what the true outcome is going to be for individuals and for groups of people until after some of these major transitions have passed through. And so in the month of January, we have a major transition that is built around a lineup of planets in Capricorn. So, for those of you who know Capricorn people or who are familiar with the energy of Capricorn, it is strictly business, looking at responsibilities. What are your responsibilities? And how can you best organize your life, your processes, bringing order to a situation. If you're building foundations, if you are building a new home, or if you are moving into a new place, that foundation building is important. If you're in business, then you'll want to look at your systems and look at your operational systems and making sure that those things are tightened up. You also want to pay attention to any kind of inefficiencies wherever you are, inefficiencies in how you're running your household, inefficiencies in the way you're running your own business, or inefficiencies in your work flow. So these are some key areas of focus. The planets that are lined up in Capricorn are Pluto and Saturn, which have been there for quite some time. Pluto has been in Capricorn for years and will be in there for years, really making some changes in the way we get down. And with Saturn there, Saturn is sort of there to put some ink to it. It's about contracts and making new contracts. So you want to be careful about what commitments you agree to in 2020 because they're gonna be bonding, holding. They will be holding a fair amount of energy. So you want to be paying really, really close attention to the things that you commit yourself to. You don't want to get tied into a flim flam. You don't want to get tied into um, a situation of any kind at a heavy commitment level. You don't want to get locked into that and then you're going to be in it and that becomes a part of your paradigm. So you want to be really careful about the choices that you make and how and the reason behind some of the choices that you're making, especially if it involves a commitment of any kind. That can be a work commitment or a relationship commitment of any kind. Well, any kind of commitment involves people. So whether they are colleagues, um, authorities, subservient position, or where you're getting a new boss or you're becoming the new boss or something like that. And then also if you're in a relationship, any kind of relationship commitments, you just want to be mindful about that. Mercury is also going to be in Capricorn, which means that our communication has to be aligned with our purpose and also aligned with whatever commitments that we're making, and we'll be talking about that. You'll be having some conversations with people around around how things are running and how things are going. And if they're not going, if you're not getting what you need out of any relationship, whether it's a personal, romantic, spousal, family relationship, or whether it's a relationship that exists in your work environment or your career environment, communication about what you need in order for things to work well for you, you need to communicate that with the other parties. You need to, and be very clear about that. But of course, being clear about it to speak about it comes from being clear about it up here. So it's a lineup. It's definitely a lineup, and I'm gonna say it's a pretty serious one. I don't think we should be taking ourselves so seriously, but I do think that we should be going about the task, or that the tasks themselves that present themselves to us to bring this new order are going to be of utmost significance in the month of January. So that's just kind of generally what's going on. That'll let you know where we are. It is about taking care of business. It is about making sure that you don't have any kind of excessive duties, excessive responsibilities, excessive commitments, anything like that. You want to just kind of, move away from that as best as you can. Okay? So I'm going to pause for a second, and I'm going to bring back in the cards. I will be doing for the month of January a sampler of readings. So I will be, and I'm going to cheat and look over here at my pile. I am going to be doing a medicine wheel reading for Aries. I will also be looking at money and wealth for you, Aries. We'll be doing the I Ching just to kind of look at an overall scope of what's happening in the month of January. And again, this is not for the whole year, it's just for January. But I think that it's important to just focus on January, because January kind of is setting the pace for the rest of 2020. So your January reading, I would recommend that you go back to. So this reading, throughout the year, I would just go back to this reading and kind of refresh your memory around it, because it'll be sort of a guidepost for the rest of the year, because it is going to be a serious year. 2020 is foundations. It's 20, it's 2 and a 0 and a 2 and a 0. And so, what's going to happen in the first quarter? There's going to be a lot of activity, a lot of balancing activity, a lot of organizational activity. And then during the second quarter, there's going to be kind of a lull. And then there's going to be another boost up of energy around organizing and balancing again in the third quarter. And then the last quarter, there's going to be a lull. The reason for that is because there's an assimilation process happening. Particularly around this Pluto and Saturn thing that's going on. There's an assimilation process, and because this is a 4 year, and it's about foundation building, the whole universe, God, angels, and His assembly want to make sure that our foundations are built well. So you're not building a foundation on sand, but you're building a very firm one, because there's going to be so many new things that you will have access to and will be experiencing from 2020 on. So 2020 is just to kind of assimilate, it's assimilating the energy in, so that the balance is kept, and so that you're making the right decision. So if things don't go well for you, if you're trying to do something and you're pushing towards something, it really isn't about that this year. It really is about assimilating the new energy, the new level, frequency level that's making itself available to all of us. It's about being able to assimilate that and assimilate it properly. You don't want to rush this. You don't want to rush this at all. You want to take your time and build it well so that it will last. And that's it. All right, so I was getting ready to talk about what we're going to do. So we're going to do wealth. We're going to do a medicine wheel reading for you, Aries. I will be pulling a spirit animal or a totem for you for the month. We'll do a little I Ching. We are going to look at love for you and get some details about that. And then I'm also going to do some moon times for you to pay attention to just in the month of January, key times to kind of be paying attention to what's happening if you want to activate um, certain aspects or certain what do I want to say? You want to activate certain things inside of you, or you want to create something or manifest something, then that time I'll look at the moon times and see when those times are favorable for you. All right, so just hold the phone for just a second and I'll be back with the cards, Aries, and we'll go ahead and get started. Okay, Aries, so today I am going to be reading from the Mystical Shaman Oracle by Colette Baron Reed, Alberto Bioldo, and Marcela Lobos, with the illustrations by Jenna Della Gratalia, one of my favorites. So I'm going to be reading, just doing a medicine wheel for you, Aries. Just do a couple of shuffles here. The medicine wheel reading is designed for healing more than anything else. So this is just to kind of let you know what you will need to be focused on in January and in the coming year as far as healing things that will have a healing nature for you. And so what I do is I pull a center card, which is really more or less the focus, your centralized focus. And then I will also be pulling 4 other cards that'll sit around it in the north, south, east, and west positions. And in those positions, that will tell us where the focus is, or a little more information about the focus. I hope that makes sense. All right. So the main focus for the month of January is standing still. This card is stand still. I definitely see meditation there. That's always a proponent. I love meditation. I think it's very valuable, and I think that people should do it more often than not. So being still and finding a still point in January is how you will find healing for yourself, or where you will be able to heal certain things that you may be still struggling with, either mentally, emotionally, or physically. Because of course, meditation can help in all forms. You know, if you are struggling with a physical ailment or a physical disease, um, when you are stilling your mind and body, you're literally giving your body the opportunity to heal itself, because it creates a pattern of rest. And anytime there is rest involved and your body can rest, it gives your cells and your organs an opportunity to regenerate and replenish themselves. So being still is important, even if it's a physical ailment. Then, of course, with mental and emotional things, being still and being in meditation allows you to just be at peace and be at quiet, so you can hear the answers that are that are emanating from your own soul and from your own inner spirit and your own inner sanctum. As you can see, there's a doorway here. So for those of you who are looking to move or to shift or to get past a hurdle or to cross a threshold, this is the way to get to it. This is the key. This is the way to get to that. So I'm seeing this as meditation and prayer and being still and allowing your inner self, Aries, to speak and to be spoken to. So in the South, which is the place of learning and discovery, we have the Holy Mountain. And so the Holy Mountain to me represents your highest self. You know, if you think about the mountain itself as a representation of the self, you're talking about the head, or you're talking about the crown. It is the uppermost part of your spirit body. And so the crown is your connection to the spirit. It is your connection to your higher self. And it's also where you receive spiritual information, and how you receive that those transmissions, or those downloads, as people call them, how that comes through. It comes through a channel, and that channel connects you to the creator, and your body becomes the temple for that. So during the month of January, you're really going to be honoring and respecting and nurturing your crown, nurturing your spirit self, nurturing your highest self. And so um, some of you may have already adopted your New Year's resolutions, but a part of your New Year's resolution should include nurturing your highest self, nurturing your spirit mind or your spirit body, or really taking some time out to make that connection. Of course, that falls right along with this because that's a really good way to make that spiritual connection. You're going to be learning a lot. Because again, this sits in the south, a place of childhood and wonder and discovery. You're going to be learning quite a bit about yourself. You're going to be learning a lot about your spiritual side, but you also may be learning a lot about other people's or the spiritual um, beliefs and practices of other people, particularly from the East. I'm getting from mountain people. So if any of you all are studying, I don't know, studying the religious practices or the spiritual practices of people who live in the mountains, then this will have special significance for you. So, those people who live near the Himalayas or those people who are mountain people of different regions. Andes Mountains is another place where there's lots of spiritual information. Anywhere where there are mountain people, if you're doing any cultural study of that, then this gets a special nod for you. And if those of you who might be interested in the beliefs and the spiritual culture of people of mountain people who live in the mountains, and that could be anywhere. That could be in Appalachian Mountains too. Just wherever mountain people is what you want to focus on. That will give you some good information. All right, in the West, um, I have the curse, and what occurs to me about this curse is such a strong word, and it's actually not one of my favorite cards in this deck because it implies so much and it brings up so much emotional fear or anxiety. So I don't want it to bring that up. But the one thing that stands out to me about this card is one, there's like this hidden information, and then I see clearly like this hand over the mouth here. There's a hand over this person's mouth, which I feel like ultimately is a um, is is bad juju. You know, when you're not able to communicate, when you feel like you can't speak your mind, or if you feel like you're having to hold something back, or you're not able to fully express yourself, that's where you end up with some bad. Hold on. Sorry about that. That's ultimately when to me, ultimately when bad things happen, or could be when negative things happen in your life experience. This card is sitting in your West position, which tells me this is something from the past, or it could be something that is haunting you, or something that is still playing itself out in your current life experience, but it stems from the past. And I think that going back again to the center, being able to center yourself and find out where this comes from. If any of you are feeling like um, you can't speak up for yourself, you can't speak out, or you feel like your life is burdened, or that there's something that stays there and stays there and stays there and is preventing you from being able to move forward, I would say to investigate that and spend time in meditation around that. Don't be afraid to look at negative influences from the past, because there are healing messages here. They locked within this experience of feeling cursed, or feeling like everything was going wrong for you. There is a message of healing that exists there, especially because we're dealing with um, your experiences from the past. It's really, really significant. All right, in the north, we have the upper world. And what that tells me is that you have the gifts, you have the nod, you have the protection of the upper realm. So this is all of your spirit masters, the angels, like I said, God, angels, and this assembly, all of those, your ancestors, those who have passed on to the other side, who are now a part of the upper world, are giving you the energy that you need for this January period. So rely on that, depend on that when you are in meditation, when you are in prayer and meditation. Don't forget that you have helpers. Ask for their guidance when you need it, especially when you are dealing with these issues that are kind of creeping up from the past. I'm really getting a feeling that whatever this is has to kind of be dealt with. Again, we're talking about January going into 2020, making sure that foundations are firm, making sure that there is clarity, and that things that aren't useful to us, that will provide some sort of block or an inefficiency in our life, that would be done away with, that we would remove this in some kind of way. And I think that this needs to be removed, but I think that these disciplines, this discipline, and this goes with it too. This is the discipline, but it opens up this doorway for you, and it also opens this doorway too. And I think by opening those two doorways, or you being able to walk through that through meditation, is going to help with this. But this, to me right now, Aries, is the biggest, like your biggest challenge in January, so to speak. All right, and then in the east position, we have the rainmaker, which means that it's like making it rain, being able to call in and manifest the things that you need, that are in alignment with your true self, and that will not only bring a blessing to you, but also will bring a blessing to those around you, or to those people who are in the community. When it rains, it doesn't rain on one man, it rains for everybody. So I'm seeing that this process is going to be really powerful, in that once you've dealt with it, like once you have gotten through this, once you have reached a point of clarity here, it's going to not only open up the doorway and allow you to walk through it to the other side, because this is the walking through. This is you walking through the doorway, getting past this. Then things are going to really open up for you in every way. So don't be afraid, Aries, to go here. This is your biggest challenge. Things from the past, things that are plaguing you from the past, that the spirit world is encouraging you to get through and get past, and get past it very quickly. So it's not, it's there's no curse on you, for those of you who feel like, oh, I've got the curse and I can't get past this point. It's really there to teach you. It's really there to inform you. And once you get clear about that and what that is, then you'll be home free, and you'll be well on your way to creating the the foundation that you need for what you're manifesting in your life. So, all right, so that is the medicine. I don't feel like I need to clarify anything on that at all. Yeah, I think that that's pretty darn good. All right, and so the spirit animal that we got for you for your medicine is the lion spirit. It says to be generous of spirit, but also the lion. What I know about the lion is that the lion is a very powerful totem. People really relate to the lion as being the king of the jungle. He is the one who exercises his power. He walks with grace and with elegance, and he also walks with an air of confidence. When a lion shows up on the scene, you feel it. And so this is the energy that you should be moving and maneuvering with in your life. And if there is anything that would be holding you back from that, it would be what this is. This is the thing that would prevent you from being able to walk with the pride and walk with the level of confidence and have the sight and also have this powerful air of protection around you. You know, if you are the leader and you're the lion, then everybody else that's with you and around you feels your protection and feels your strength and feels your power around them and feels safe and feels secure because you are present and because you are accounted for and because you are moving with this degree of confidence. So I think that you walking with the lion spirit is where you're headed, or it's really something for you to think about as you are approaching your life in January and as you're approaching some of the more challenging situations, particularly those situations that bring this energy up for you. Um, and just remember that it's all a part of that lesson. It's all a part of you really connecting to your higher spirit, your highest incarnation of your spirit right now lies with the lion. So read up on the lion. Those of you who read up on the lion, go look at some videos with lions in them, and pay attention to how they move, how they maneuver, their habits, their habitat, how they get down, you know, and apply some of those teachings to your walk. And I think that that would be really helpful to you. All right, I'm going to take a pause and I'm going to go and pick up the wealth cards. Actually, I think I'm going to do I Ching next because I want to just take a look at what's going on in general. And I Ching really gives us a good overview of stuff that might be coming up or that might be of particular significance and importance to you. So hold the line and I'll be right back. All right, so Aries, I said I was going to go to the wealth, but I think I'm going to the I Ching as I mentioned. So, the I Ching card that I pulled for you is number 28, and number 28 corresponds to an I Ching passage, and I will be reading, of course. 28. It's the predominance of the great. So what I'm going to do is just read this card, what the meaning is, and then I'm going to pull a changing card, and we're going to look at the specific lines and let that give you some insight as to what to focus on specifically for the month of January. So this card is the predominance of the great. You are in a situation where too many things are affecting you at once. They all seem to be important and all demand your attention. So you will need to look at things carefully so that this extraordinary situation does not become permanent because, you know, it'll just be too much, right? You will find a way out once you succeed in reducing your view of details down to the fundamentals. Again, we're talking about foundations in 2020, fours and foundations, and looking at the fundamentals. What are the basics? It shouldn't be more than four things that you're focusing on, and you could narrow it down past that too. All right, so in doing so, you should anticipate suddenly finding yourself in a totally new position in life. The predominance of the great heralds a new crisis marking the crossing into a better period. Remain relaxed and serene, and you will solve all difficulties, whether by taking active measures or through patience and biding your time. So, if there are Aries, it seems like there's a lot of things, maybe a lot of, it could be opportunities or it could be drama. Either way it goes, what you want to do is pull back, relax, kind of take a breather. And again, when we go back to what the medicine wheel card was saying is to be still and know. And then that way that'll keep you out of a whole lot of extra stuff that you don't really need to be involved with or to overly tie yourself to. All right, so I'm looking for a changing card for Aries just so we can focus on some specifics. Specifics for Aries in relationship to this reading. You don't want to give me one. Might not be one. There we go. All right, so this is 8 And the changing lines here are in line number 2, number 3, number 4, just 2, 3, and 4. So we'll look at passages 2, 3, and 4, or lines 2, 3, and 4 for number 28. 2, 3, and 4. Here we go. Line 2, you're facing a surprising development. Surround yourself with dependable people who are suited to you. By this means, you create the foundation upon which real regeneration can take place. So this is, I would say that one, you're going to look for something new. It's not the thing that you thought it was, but it is something different. Aries, for some of you, you might have had your mind focused on a certain particular thing that you're searching for or looking for. Be mindful that it may not come in that form. Okay, so open your eyes and broaden your scope a little bit, because it looks like some other things might be brewing. And again, this is about finding the right people to build your foundation with. Number 3 says, don't try to force a breakthrough. Remember, it said to take your time. Remember, the other card said stand still, be at peace, focus on your crown chakra, all of that. Great obstacles block the way. You will end up getting no help at all if you ignore all the warnings. And then in number 4, you find support and are able to continue your task, but you will come to a compromising position if you want to change ahead without looking both ways first. So I feel like with this card, with everything that is coming towards you, oops, sorry, that was the changing card. With everything that may be coming towards you, it's important to be still and look at the image on this card. I love this. I love the image on this card, because literally it looks like somebody who is standing firmly. You know, their arms are by their side. They're just standing. There's their head. The head is the focal point here. Again, we talked about the crown. But then what I really like about it is what he's standing on. This looks like a very thin line. It almost looks like a tightrope that this guy is having to balance himself on. And also this tightrope is bending, so it implies a need for flexibility, and also balance. Is important very, very much here. And it also implies bending and being flexible and compromising, and needing to compromise. But it's a delicate balance that's being held here for you, Aries. And so making the right move is important, and also knowing the right move to make. And I think that that's really going to come from being still. It's going to come from that being at that meditative space where you can reach your highest frequency, and you will know when to move and when not to move. But to force something that you're trying to force something to happen is not the way to go. And again, there's so many things coming at you. You don't want to force anything. You really want the thing that is of the utmost importance to you to rise to the top like cream, as opposed to you clamoring for it and just grabbing at straws or grabbing at something or trying to make something go. Because if we keep forcing and pushing, it will happen, but it may not be the best course. It may not be the gentlest course. And right now, that's what you're looking for yourself. Okay. So for those of you who are facing a lot, and I feel like these are opportunities or jobs. This could be in a work situation, but for some of you, it may be in relationships too. It may be, a lot of people who are vying for your attention. It could come in any form, but it is a lot that's coming towards you that you'll have to discern, and you'll have to make some decisions about. And again, in the changing card, it suggests that you find the right people, find people who you can depend upon, and not force the issue at all, and just kind of let things materialize from there. All right, so that's your I Ching message for January. I am going to now look at your wealth, and I'll be right back. All right, so Aries, the card that came up for you in relationship to wealth and abundance it says, welcome to planet Earth. You are here to seek joy. It says if we were talking to you on your first day here, we would say, "Welcome to planet Earth. There is nothing that you cannot be or do or have, and your work here, your lifetime career, is to seek joy. As you think thoughts that feel good to you, you will be in harmony with who you really are, and in doing so, you will utilize your profound freedom. Seek joy first, and all of the growth that you could ever imagine will come joyously and abundantly to you." So, regarding wealth, if you are looking at trying to amass wealth or accumulate wealth um, or see how your wealth is being managed from the spiritual realm, it's about you finding joy, and that joy aligning you with yourself. And as you seek the things that bring you joy, and you start to really realize, or you continue to realize, if you've already started this journey, you are realizing that the things that bring you joy are the things that connect you to that part of yourself that's going to find joy in what you do, and that in its of itself is what's going to draw this abundance to you, because it's a fertile ground. It creates a fertile ground, really, um, for most anything, for any kind of abundance. It could be financial abundance, it could be abundance in love. Some people are looking for different wealth, and abundance is different for different people. What represents wealth and what represents abundance is different for different people. Usually when we start talking about abundance, we're usually talking about things, objects, money, clothes, finery, luxury items, trips, and stuff like that, that are associated with wealth. But your wealth really comes from the inside of yourself. And when you tap the internal wealth, then the external wealth then starts to come towards you. So the main focus for you, Aries, is about joy, finding the things that bring you joy. Now, what I'm going to do is go to the tarot. I want to pull 3 cards. One card is going to be where you are focused right now in terms of wealth. What's your current mindset? And then I want to look at whatever there may have been some past influences that affect your current mindset. And then we'll look at some next steps. So 3 cards there to align you, Aries, to your wealth and to this idea of joy. So we see the trajectory here. What we're looking at is the current situation, current mindset in terms of wealth, and then the influences from the past, influences from your past experiences specifically that affect the mindset. And finally, some next steps for Aries regarding wealth. Okay. Very good. All right. So what I see is your current mindset is to spend and spend freely. So Aries, it's like when you get the money, it's going out. When you get it, it's gone, right? Live and let live. Have a great time. If when my abundance is represented in physical terms, meaning money or things or objects, like I mentioned before, it's like, hey, let's just have a good time. Let's spend freely and let's run amok, okay, with the money. But there's some things. This is currently where you are. The past influences or the past experiences I'm seeing is that maybe somebody was really, 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 really strict with you about money and how you spent it. I think maybe they um, you were kept from spending, and so now your idea is like, if I got it, I'm gonna spend it. It could be it could come from I feel like it's coming from restraint, right? So like there was this restraining order against you and money for a while. Maybe you didn't have it, or maybe it was being held from you in some kind of way. It could have been somebody's attempt to create a certain order in you or around you, Aries, with the money, but it kind of backfired or had a backfiring effect. Because the emperor represents order and it represents, kind of having things together. And when you're talking about abundance and you're talking about money, you got to be able to manage it well. It means nothing for you to money can come in and go. It comes, it goes. You know what I'm saying? And that coming and going of the nature of money is natural. That's a natural thing. But being able to hold on to some of it, being able to manage it well when it comes in, what to do with it, what not to do with it, how not to spend frivolously, and things like that. That's what the emperor brings to this picture. But in your case, it's almost like maybe you didn't have the right instruction about this, or you may have not gotten the right information around this, and so it just you weren't taught, or it could be that you didn't get the right information about how to manage your finances as they're coming in. But for next steps, we have the sun, and what that means again is joy. The next step is to focus on a joy. Don't focus on the actual monetary or the actual physical manifestation of wealth so much, because clearly there's been some mixed messages here, or there's been some negative there's been some toxicity around this for you. So it's to take the focus off of this, or kind of take the edge off of this a little bit. The focus is on joy, and then of course, sun represents optimism and joy and that kind of thing. So it's a pretty clear message to you, Aries. If you're dealing with wealth and abundance, it may be helpful to you to take a finance class, or maybe a financial wellness or financial management course, to kind of reset your thinking around this, because this is a mental reset that has to happen. This is something this is a habit that's been created from a set of mental rules that were put in order for you from the past. And so this requires a mindset reorganization. Okay, you have to reset your mindset around this. But the first thing is to focus on the things that bring you joy. That's the first step. And I would focus on this during January, and then maybe you can pick up these classes later after you get real clear here. I think this is the first step, of course, because it indicated by this being the next step. But this is still something that you'll want to spend some time getting with a financial planner. You may just need to have a financial planner to help you think through this and just explain to them what the situation is. Most of them already know. If you've got money flowing into you, but you haven't been able to retain any, a financial planner would be happy to help you reset your mind around that, or you can do it yourself through classes. All right. All right, so what's next is love. We're going to focus on love next. Give me a pause and I'll be right back. All right, Aries, let's get on down to the brass tacks of love in the month of January. I am reading from the Alphabet for Lovers, and the card that we pulled for you is number 57. It talks about hunting for lost souls. So to me, it seems like there could be a soulmate connection here. I'm definitely seeing these ties, or being somehow tied or bound. There's a box here which represents to me a gift or something that someone is trying to give, or maybe somebody is trying to get somebody to get in this box. I don't know. But we'll look at this a little bit further, and we'll get in depth into this card. The information from these cards comes from Kabbalistic teachings. So this is associated with the Sadi, meaning the righteous one. It's also associated with the fish hook, and it is corresponds to that letter in the Hebrew alphabet, for those of you who are familiar. But this one talks about hunting for lost souls, and I'm going to be reading directly from the text, and then I'll be pulling another card just to give you some idea of what your love experience may be like, or what you may be drawing towards yourself, Aries, in the month of January. So let's go right to it. Number 57 And I'm going to read first about the Sadi. It is associated with Aquarius. Its geometric value is 90, so nines may be of significance to you in your relationship. Nines represent endings, so there may be some endings of one thing, or maybe some new beginnings too associated with that. It is also associated with the planet of Uranus, so Aquarius and Uranus, or it could be an Aquarius person that you're involved with, or a person with Aquarian energy. People who are Aquarians, that was funny. People who are Aquarians don't want to get in a box. I can tell you that right now. They are free thinkers, and they like to remain out here and not in there. So I think that's funny that I'm seeing that. And the it says that it conducts between the Sifra Gevura and the Sifra Tiferet, which is between strength and beauty. So there's some strengthening things that are happening in this relationship that then bring harmony to your overall situation, or to your overall the relationship that you're building here. Ultimately is going to bring some level of balance, but there are things that may need to be severed, or there may be some decisions that need to be made, or some different types of communication that needs to be done in order to for this to take effect. All right, so I'm going to um, jump right into the message here. It says the essence of this connection involves taking custody of another person in order to save them from a tough fate. So either you, Aries, or the person in a relationship may have had a bad relationship in the past, may have had some very negative experiences in terms of love. And so it implies that there is a healing relationship that's happening between you on a soul level. The lost soul, of the person who seems to be lost, was a person that you may have easily connected with, or the connection was made very easily. The person who's doing the saving has a high amount of self-confidence, and who is a motivating person, and who's also very positive and gives positive